Sometimes we get into this routine thinking like somebody's going to come around and save us. And while that is all fine and dandy, realize nobody's coming to save you. At the end of the day, it's up to you to be able to change the trajectory of your life for your family, your future, your finances, for everything.
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. Excited to be with you guys today. What I wanted to cover is the cost of waiting and why your future wealth actually depends on what you do this year, okay? So why your future wealth depends on what you are doing this year. I think that's very, very important because sometimes we get into this routine thinking like somebody's going to come around and save us. And while that is all fine and dandy, realize nobody's coming to save you. At the end of the day, it's up to you to be able to change the trajectory of your life for your family, your future, your finances, for everything, right? So it really does come down to how bad do you want it? How bad are you serious behind it? When you get to a pivotal place, like a point of no return, that you are so tired of struggling, of the pain, of the resistance, of the issues that you've been in that pressure pot for example, like eventually you are going to get to that place where you're like, enough is enough. I can't wait any longer. I'm willing to fail forward and figure it out. And I say that because a lot of people get into like looking on Instagram success models and all the other things and Olympic gold winner, like all these influencers or people that they admire, respect, and would love to potentially even trade places, which is sad to a certain degree. There's one thing to admire and respect somebody, but wanting to trade places with them, like never in a million years. You should fall in love with your identity, who you are, and your journey. But don't forget to focus on your journey, right? When we see these people that we admire and we see their successes, we see their wins. Let me be very crystal clear. Seeing their wins isn't because they never failed, okay? It's because they simply just never gave up. They never gave up. They might have failed 30 times, 50 times, 100 times, thousands of times. In fact, Thomas Edison, he failed 10,000 times. 10,000 times before finally creating a successful light bulb product back in the 1800s, something. I think late 1800s, right? And so, could have been early, I don't know. Sometime in the 1800s, I'm pretty confident in that number. But so this is the thing that like you got to realize, like 10,000 times? Shoot! On a third day of trying to be on a workout plan or a diet, like a lot of people give up, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. 10,000 times. Can you imagine what life would be like if he gave up prior to that and we still today did not have a light bulb? A freaking light bulb? Like, that's terrifying, right? Thank God for persistence. Thank God for crazy, if you will. Thank God. Because who the hell, like 10,000 times? You got to realize that the cost of waiting is real. And waiting is so much more expensive than failing. I can tell you time and time again how many people that we've seen over the years that are just broken, busted, disgusted for the simple fact that they've waited and that they wanted to do this for years and years. They wanted to change their life. They wanted to see financial growth. They wanted to fix their credit. They wanted to get financial freedom. They wanted to quit their job. They wanted to travel the world. They wanted to pay off their homes. They wanted to support their family. They wanted. But apparently they didn't want it bad enough to be able to say enough is enough. Draw the line in the sand and say, man, I'm no looking back. I'm doing this. I'm going forward. And maybe it's the know-how, right? A lot of if you don't have the roadmap, the know-how, like to get there, it can be dangerous. It can be scary. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like, am I even doing the right things, right? And that's why we hire on like a trainer, right? At the gym, you hire on a trainer so that they can hold you accountable, so that you can push further, so that you don't need to think about it. You don't need to clog up the bandwidth of what exercise do I do next? How many macros do I have? Like you just do exactly what they say. Why? Because they're already fit. They've already been there. They've already done it. They've already been trained. They've already been certified, right? You don't need to think about that. You just get them to tell you what to do because you trust in their physique. You see whatever they're doing daily, their routine works. I'll just do what they say and develop this new routine that's out of the ordinary for me. And when you get into that routine, that rhythm, that new habit is developed over months and months and months, then now this is your new identity that you've already seen the transformation, you've seen the growth, and now you know the routine. And maybe at that point you can step away from needing a full-time trainer, depending on your goals. And if you really want to push it to the limit, I don't think there's ever a day that you would give up a trainer in any areas of life. I'm using this, for working out right now, but for anything in life, if you want to take to the max, if you really want to produce, if you want to push it to the limits, if you want to be held accountable, getting good mentors in your life is a big, big deal. And so, there's so many people that want to wait to make things perfect, or maybe they don't know the roadmap. Maybe they need the pat on the back or the correction and say, this is the right roadmap. You're good, instead of just going out into the desert and just winging it, trying to get there and losing your motivation along the way. I remember my very first property. It cost me $9,000. $9,000. If you can imagine a $9,000 property, some of you out there might be thinking, well, that's great. That's more affordable. I can do that. That was my broke ass mindset too. That was my poor mindset too at the time. What that comes with, because there's pros and cons to everything, right? What that comes with is, guess what type of location that is? That's the hood, baby. That's the hood. There's countless stories I can tell you of drug dealers on the corner, of murders on the side of the corner, of guns being tossed into my neighbor's backyard because they're running away from cops, of me finding a homemade bomb, of me walking into one of my homes and one of the tenants are all drugged out and they have a shotgun like pulled up on me and one of my partners at the time, where cops have in and out of the locations when it is dangerous, where there is the judge ended up getting shot right outside the courthouse. And then he murdered somebody to protect himself from the shooter. And that's the hood, right? That's like some scary stuff. But that was what $9,000 gets you. But how many people tried talking me out of it? How many people were terrified? How many people didn't see the vision that I did? How many? A lot. And that could be you. You could be in that same season right now of like, man, you're trying to get validation from others. You're trying to get some kind of like compass correction of like, am I doing the right thing? You're not going to get it from broke people around you. Your circle that you're trying to get validation from, if they haven't been there, done it, succeeded with it, and gone through the trials and tribulations on their own previously, they're the wrong folks that you should be asking for advice from. They are your friends, and I get that. They are your family, and I get that. And what you are going to want to understand is that they care for you, they love you, and they want to see you succeed. Sometimes, some of them don't want to see you succeed. And it's only because it makes them feel some type of way. And that's tough for some people to realize. But when you start seeing your success, you might see some of that. They beat themselves up or whatever, They don't want to see you get too far away from them, so they try holding you back. That's not with everybody. That's just with some circles. So be cautious of that. But I can tell you that the more that you get validation from the wrong crew, it's kind of like going to college and getting business advice from somebody that is reading out of a book that doesn't own a business. While there may be some practical, good information, if you will, in that book. By all means, that book you could have read yourself. That book is not going to save you from real life examples. What will save you is potentially a mentor. I can tell you it can cut down your learning curve tremendously. That book, on its own, you might have made excuses for it. Me personally, I read all the books, all the podcasts, all the YouTube, just like this. I deep dived into it for 2 full years, 4 hours every single day, no exaggeration. Before I finally hit that breaking point, like, man, I don't care. I expected I would fail eventually in real estate some point. So I was like, I need to get started. I need this now. And so once I said, like, enough is enough, drawing the line and saying I don't care. Like, let's just do something now. I can't. I started getting the itch of like, man, I just gotta go. That point started changing the direction for me. And I stopped listening to other people around me, and I just started jumping into it. If I would have had a mentor at the time, it would have helped me a significant amount. Over the years, I've become addicted to mentorship because I've seen the compounding effect from it. I've seen the money saved. I've seen the time saved. The time saved. I've seen the pain and the headache saved. I've seen all of it. I've seen the connections and the resources manifest and just like double down, triple down, tenfold. I've seen our income and our freedom and our happiness increase. And so I'm very grateful that I didn't listen to others when I invested in that first property. I'm grateful for the learning curves that I experienced on that first one. It took a whole year when it should have taken 60 days. I went through 5 contractors when it should have been 1. I wasted an extra $35,000 that I wasn't in a position to waste or get screwed over on. But years later, what it did for me is it provided tax benefits. It provided cash flow, enough for me to leave my job one day. It provided my JOB, by the way, restaurant jobs. It was a pivotal piece in the big picture. It sold significantly higher. It sold for over $80,000 later on when I got all my money back. I refinanced it. I got all my money back initially. I got a bunch of cash flow and all the other things. Like, great. It was a great investment for me down the road. And it was what I needed. And I learned so much. That is priceless. But understand, like, how inaction compounds negatively when you do not focus on taking action. You start beating yourself up on the inaction. You start realizing that, again, something that I'm going to use as an analogy here of, when you need to go to the gym and you're saying you're going to do it, but then you're breaking your word the next day and you're like, I'll just go the next day. Or, oh, I really want this good food right now, so I'm going to eat this, versus like go and eat healthier like you said you were going to do. Or like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're starting to have regret. You're starting to have doubt. You're starting to have frustration. You're starting to beat yourself up for not being the best version that you said you were going to be. And so, and that could be for anything, like anything. It could be for the way that you are within your relationships with your family, with your significant other, with your business partner, with your extended family, the way with your friends. It could be with your finances. Like, you could just start the goals that you've made. Have you broken them? Because the inaction starts compounding negatively in such a dangerous position, a really dangerous position. So you want to be very cautious of that. And how many people I've seen over the years that beat themselves up. And what I can tell you is, like, the inflation over time, right? When you actually own an asset, it's security. It's a hedge of protection on inflation, on having an asset, on having the cash flow, the tax benefits, the depreciation, the appreciation, the getting all your money out if you do it right. Like, there's so many different ways to really succeed at this. And so waiting can just be so much more expensive than actually failing here. Now, there are some real examples of people who have waited too long and they see life go by, and you see people on like their deathbeds and they live with regret and they're like, man, I wish I would have just spent more time with the family. I wish I would have had, not my head down working. And I wish I would have been able to travel the world. I wish I would have done all these things. I wish I would have spent more time with God. You know, there's so many pieces to the puzzle that unfortunately people at the end, they're just like, man, I feels like it's too soon. It's too quick. When in reality, there's so much time, but we get busy, and we're not prioritizing what really matters, right? And I don't want anybody to live with regret. I want you to stay crystal clear and laser beam focused, because if you don't give up, you will succeed. That's the thing. It's like, if you don't give up, you will succeed. But it all starts with mentorship. It starts with you saying enough is enough. I'm desperate to succeed. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I could care less. Who's coming with me? And when you say who's coming with me, like who has already been there and done it that I can actually drag with me to help me along the way, that I can lean on, right? Can you imagine what one property could actually do for you over 5, 10, 20 years? Just imagine that. And you might not know how to get there initially, but what I can tell you is that you can develop that tool, that muscle. When you get a trainer, when you get some guidance, when you get some real mentorship, you can see what all this can do for you. But if you're on the sideline, if you're waiting too long, if you're looking for somebody to come around and save you, like, you're going to be waiting at the bus stop for a very, very long time. It's never going to come through. Nobody's going to care more about your finances, your future, and your family than you. So the cost of waiting, my God, it's everything. It's the pain, it's the frustration, it's the headache, it's the regrets, it's the family disappointment, it's you not lifting your head up, it's the frustration that builds up into pain and anger. Your future wealth depends on what you do this year. Mark my words on that. Your future wealth depends on what you do this year. So get very laser beam focused, very laser beam focused. If you need guidance, if you need the foundation that should have been taught in school to learn how to talk to these banks properly, to be able to get up to 90% approval odds, to be able to get the best terms and conditions and the highest limits possible, by the way, then you should stop waiting for some miracle. You should stop waiting for the grand finale. And what you should do is go to our Instagram page, a Credit Counsel Elite, and click in the bio to get access to our event coming up on the 27th, 28th, and 29th. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have our 0% capital bootcamp. You're not going to want to miss it. You can also go to creditcounselelite.com/gain-access. You should do that right now, and you should grab your ticket. You can get it for as low as $27. $27. We have discounts for the next couple days. Okay? I think for the next 2 days. So for $27, you can grab your general admissions ticket. For $77, you can get the replays. And then for $147, you get our VIP access, where we give you one of our courses. Has sold in the past for over $2,500, $2,500. Give you our ebook, Unlock Your Full Credit Potential, playbook as well. And we're giving you the recordings. We're giving you access to ask me anything on those calls. Like, we're really dialing this stuff in so that you can lay down this foundation that should have been taught in school, but it wasn't. And it wasn't taught. If I was bold enough to bet on this, I would bet every single time. It probably wasn't taught at the dinner table, just like it wasn't taught at mine. Doesn't mean that that's your fault, because it's not my fault either, but it is our problem. And if anything's going to change, it's up to you and me. So if you're down to draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough, and realize that money makes the world go round, all right, on this beautiful flat earth. But also, if you want to dial in what should have been taught in school, what should have been focused on, and to be able to lay down this foundation of getting finances so that you can get closer to your goals, hit more and get mentorship, like really get mentorship for people to be able to get you there further, faster, without all the headache and frustration and the anger that builds up from doing it solo on your own and wasting all that money. Like, you're already paying for this one way or another. For as low as $27, you can get access to something that really can change your trajectory of your world. Okay? So I want to invite you again to our up and coming event. It's our 0% Capital Bootcamp. Do not miss it. Do not miss it. Mark my words. You will not want to miss this. You will live with regret. Guaranteed that. So do not live with regret. Do not wait any longer. This is your opportunity. This is your time. Go ahead, click the link for that. It's creditcounselelite.com/gain/access. Or follow us on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. It's in the bio there as well. Otherwise, Credit Counsel Elite on IG, and you can find it in the bio as well there. So anyway, love you guys all so much. Make sure you share this out. If you have not already, hit subscribe to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. Stop screwing around. Stop waiting. This is your time. Do that now. Love you guys so much. We'll see you on the new episode every single Monday. Leave that 5-star review after listening to a few of them, and we'll catch you guys later. God bless. Peace.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.